Imagine a vast plain in southeastern Italy, a land where the horizon stretches endlessly, and the air is filled with the scent of wild herbs and the distant hum of cicadas. The year is 216 BC. The sun beats down mercilessly on this arid landscape, casting long shadows and creating a scene of impending carnage. The heat is oppressive, almost suffocating, as if the very air is bracing itself for the violence to come. Thousands of soldiers prepare for battle, their armor glinting in the harsh sunlight. The air is thick with anticipation and dread, a palpable tension that seems to vibrate through the ranks. Roman legions, disciplined and formidable, stand in stark contrast to the diverse and cunning forces of Carthage. This is Cannae, a name that will soon echo through history as a byword for Roman defeat and one of the bloodiest days in military history. The ground here will be soaked with the blood of tens of thousands, a grim testament to the horrors of war. What began as a seemingly routine clash of armies would become a brutal testament to the genius of Hannibal Barca. Hannibal, a name forever etched in the annals of military strategy, would orchestrate a masterpiece of tactical warfare that would be studied for millennia. The stakes could not have been higher. For Hannibal, this was more than just a battle. It was a chance to cripple Rome's military might and alter the course of history. For the Romans, it was a desperate struggle to defend their burgeoning empire from a relentless and cunning adversary. For years, Rome and Carthage, two rising Mediterranean powers, had been locked in a bitter struggle for supremacy. Their rivalry had already seen numerous battles, each more brutal than the last, as both sides sought to dominate the region. This conflict, known as the Second Punic War, would see some of the most brutal and innovative battles in the ancient world. Strategies and tactics evolved rapidly, with each side learning and adapting from the other, pushing the boundaries of military science. At Cannae, this rivalry would reach a bloody crescendo. The clash here would not only decide the fate of the two armies, but would also leave an indelible mark on the history of warfare, a lesson in the devastating potential of human conflict. Hannibal Barca was no ordinary general. A brilliant strategist and tactician, he had sworn an oath against Rome as a young boy, dedicating his life to challenging Roman power. Leading his Carthaginian army, comprised of diverse troops from across Africa and Iberia, Hannibal had already inflicted two humiliating defeats on the Romans at Trebia and Lake Trasimene. His objective was not just victory on the battlefield, but the utter destruction of Rome itself. Hannibal aimed to shatter Roman morale, instigate rebellion amongst their allies, and ultimately bring the Roman Republic to its knees. Cannae was to be a decisive step towards this ambitious goal. The Roman army facing Hannibal at Cannae was massive, perhaps the largest they had ever fielded. Led by the consuls Lucius Aemilius Paulus and Gaius Terentius Varro, the Romans were confident in their superior numbers. They were the legions of Rome, renowned for their discipline and unwavering resolve. Their traditional formation, the manipular system, had proven effective in previous wars, allowing for flexibility and maneuverability. Little did they know that their trusted tactics would be their undoing against Hannibal's strategic genius. The battlefield at Cannae was a broad plain, seemingly ideal for the Romans to deploy their superior numbers, yet the seemingly innocuous Aufidus River, flowing across the battlefield, would prove to be a crucial element in Hannibal's deadly trap. Hannibal, a master of utilizing terrain to his advantage, deliberately chose to engage the Romans with his back to the river. This seemingly disadvantageous position was a calculated risk that would force the Romans into a deadly bottleneck. Section 5. The Carthaginian Trap. Outmaneuvering the Roman war machine. Hannibal's battle plan was a masterpiece of deception and strategic brilliance. His understanding of both his own troops and the Roman forces was unparalleled. He knew that to defeat the Romans he had to use their own strengths against them. He arranged his troops in a crescent formation with his weakest units in the center and his strongest, the veteran African infantry, on the flanks. This formation was designed to lure the Romans into a false sense of security. His cavalry, superior in both numbers and skill to the Roman horsemen, were positioned on the wings. These cavalry units were crucial to the success of his plan, as they would be responsible for encircling the Roman forces. The Romans, as expected, attacked the center of Hannibal's line. They believed that by breaking through the center, they could easily defeat the Carthaginian forces. They pushed forward, confident in their numbers, unaware of the trap being sprung around them. The Carthaginian center, though appearing weak, held just long enough to draw the Romans in. As the Roman center advanced deeper into the Carthaginian crescent, they were slowly being drawn in, their flanks becoming increasingly vulnerable. The Carthaginian cavalry then swept in from the sides, cutting off any chance of retreat and encircling the Roman forces completely. This brilliant maneuver not only showcased Hannibal's tactical genius, but also marked one of the most significant defeats for the Roman army. The Battle of Cannae would be remembered as a testament to the power of strategic ingenuity over sheer numbers. Section 6. Slaughter in the Sun. The Roman army annihilated. The trap was sprung. The Roman army, confident in their numbers and strength, marched forward under the blazing sun, unaware of the deadly ambush awaiting them. Hannibal's elite cavalry on the flanks routed their Roman counterparts, their speed and ferocity unmatched. The Roman cavalry, caught off guard, was quickly overwhelmed and scattered. Then, with precision and deadly intent, Hannibal's cavalry swung around to attack the Roman infantry from behind, creating panic and confusion among the ranks. Meanwhile, the Carthaginian infantry on the flanks, under immense pressure from the advancing Roman center, slowly gave ground. But this was no retreat. It was a calculated maneuver, deliberately drawing the Romans further into the kill zone. The Roman soldiers, driven by their initial success, pressed forward, unaware that they were being lured into a deadly trap. The Carthaginians, with disciplined precision, continued to give ground, leading the Romans deeper into the encirclement. The Roman legions, once a symbol of order and discipline, were now crammed into a chaotic mass, their formations broken and their movements restricted. The once proud and organized army was now a disorganized mob, struggling to maintain cohesion. Surrounded on all sides by the enemy, the Romans found themselves in a dire situation. The Carthaginians closed in, tightening the noose around the trapped legions. What followed was a massacre. The Roman soldiers, trapped and unable to maneuver, were cut down mercilessly. The Carthaginians showed no quarter, slaughtering the Romans with ruthless efficiency. Trapped and compressed, the Roman soldiers were butchered where they stood. The battlefield became a scene of horror, with bodies piling up and blood soaking the ground. The air was thick with the stench of blood and the screams of dying men. The once mighty Roman army was annihilated, their hopes of victory crushed under the relentless assault of Hannibal's forces. The sun set on a battlefield drenched in blood, marking one of the most devastating defeats in Roman history. A legacy of defeat, repercussions and reforms. By day's end, the Roman army lay in ruins, their casualties estimated at over 50,000 men, including the consul Paulus. It was a defeat of unprecedented scale, a blow that shook the Roman Republic to its core. News of the disaster sent shockwaves through Rome, plunging the city into mourning and fear. Yet from the ashes of this devastating defeat, a new Roman war machine would rise. The lessons learned at Cannae, etched in blood and defeat, would force the Romans to re-evaluate their military tactics and strategic thinking. Echoes of Cannae, timeless lessons in warfare. Cannae stands as a stark reminder that military superiority goes beyond mere numbers. Hannibal's victory highlighted the importance of strategic brilliance, tactical adaptability, and the effective utilization of terrain. It demonstrated the devastating potential of encirclement and the importance of flanking maneuvers. The echoes of Cannae can be found throughout military history, inspiring military leaders and shaping battlefield tactics for centuries to come. From the battlefields of the ancient world to the trenches of World War I and beyond, commanders have studied Hannibal's masterpiece at Cannae, seeking to understand and apply its timeless lessons. Unmasking the past, Cannae's enduring relevance. The Battle of Cannae, although an event from the distant past, holds remarkable relevance for us today. It compels us to reflect on the nature of conflict, the evolution of military thinking, and the enduring human cost of war. By studying battles like Cannae, we gain a deeper understanding of our past, the evolution of warfare, and the enduring human capacity for both strategic brilliance and shocking brutality. It serves as a reminder of the importance of diplomacy, the need to avoid the horrors of war, and the enduring pursuit of peace in a world still grappling with conflict.